record button and we gotta like act like we're talking and do a thing, and I don't know, man. Who knows? Anywho, we are live. What is up, everybody, and welcome to episode. I still don't know the number. I think it's like
Hold on.
36.
I think it's 36, but I'm gonna check.
No, it's 37. Last week was 36.
Of course it was.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't it be?
Episode 37 of the Hot Stove Podcast. I'm your host, Zach Nunez, and I'm here with Mark.
Yep.
That's it. I don't know. There's no intro. It's just the two of us doing an episode of the podcast today. So I don't know. In the meantime, make sure to follow us on Twitter at Hot Stove Pod. That's at Hot Stove Pod on Twitter. And then here on YouTube, make sure to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, the notification bell, hit that too, so you know when we post videos. And leave a comment if you feel like commenting. I tweeted about it earlier today, but with the approaching NFL season, we're gonna try and do some double duty stuff here, so we can give better coverage to more things, basically. Because last year we did the NBA season preview in the same episode we did with like an NFL week breakdown. And then we rushed through it.
Yeah, it was too much. We should have split it up.
So we're going to try to do more episodes as things start to ramp up here. So tonight we're going to be doing the NFC preview. We did the AFC preview last week. So if you want to hear us talk about those teams, you can go watch that episode. So tonight we're going to be covering the NFC. And then next week we'll be doing something. Again, we still haven't figured it out, whether it'll be a full season preview with like playoff predictions and blah blah and that stuff, or it'll be a recording of our like dynasty startup draft that we're doing next Tuesday evening.
Yep.
We'll do something along the lines of that, something NFL related, as the episode will be coming out the day before the season starts. By the way, breaking news 11 minutes ago, confirmed by The Athletic, Jalen Hurts has been named the starting quarterback of the Eagles. So,
if it was Joe Flacco, I was going to jump off a building. So
you know what's my favorite report so far of the offseason has been, and we'll get into some news actually before we do trivia or our content for the day. My favorite report of the offseason so far has been Ryan Fitzpatrick being named the starting quarterback for the Washington football team.
Like, who else would it have been?
Exactly. There had to be like a formal report like 2 days ago that he was named the starting quarterback.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just thought it was funny. But speaking of NFL news, we had some clarity today in terms of rookie quarterbacks, with Cam Newton being released by the Patriots in what can only be described as a shocker that we get on cut day, basically. Today's the day where teams by, I think, 1 p.m. local time had to solidify their 53-man roster. So today is the day where each team cuts roughly 20 players or so to trim it down.
It's 27.
27. I couldn't remember if it was 70 or 80 players that they went into today with.
Yeah, it's 80 down to 53.
Gotcha. So, and one of those cuts for the New England Patriots was Cam Newton, meaning that Mac Jones, who I'm going to look up his full name real quick because it's still really funny.
I actually don't know it.
Give me 1 second. His full name is Michael McCorkle Jones.
McCorkle?
McCorkle. His middle
Mac
name.
is short for McCorkle?
Mac is short for McCorkle, which is his middle name. He's not even Michael. So he doesn't even go by Michael, his first name.
If I had the opportunity to go by Mac, I would also go by Mac.
Yeah, but like McCorkle.
McCorkle is hysterical.
Yeah. So
all right. Better middle name, McCorkle or Jadaniel?
They're close.
That's a coin flip. That's a coin flip right there.
I think I like Jadaniel a little bit better.
Maybe just because McCorkle does sound like a white person's middle name, whereas Jadaniel, not exactly what you expect Trevor Rogers' middle name to be.
Anyways, it paves the way for McCorkle Jones to be the starting quarterback for the New England Patriots. Week 1, which, you can quibble about how much it means for the team itself. I tend to think what they lose in Cam Newton's veteran savvy and rushing ability, they gain in someone who might be a little bit more consistent in really the intermediate areas of the field. I think what he's shown so far in the preseason is that he stands well in the pocket.
Yeah.
He's a pretty good decision maker. Doesn't have much in terms of pop in his physical traits, but that's, look, the Patriots just got out of a 20-plus year relationship with a guy who didn't have any pop in his physical traits anyways. So,
and that worked out okay.
I'd say it worked out at least better than average. So
slightly, but yes.
So I'm not a scout. I don't know how to talk about this kind of stuff.
He's a chubby Alabama guy who Alabama quarterbacks haven't had a great track record for the most part.
It's been pretty bad.
You got Joe Namath, who it's like, oh wow, great, Joe Namath, Broadway Joe. He's kissing Aaron Andrews on the sideline, or at least trying to. It wasn't Aaron Andrews, I don't think. I forget who it was, but I probably shouldn't have had Aaron Andrews be the first one that came to mind. Given her,
a good idea. You have 3 Hall of Famers: Joe Namath, Ken Stabler, and Bart Starr.
Oh yeah, I forgot. Starr went to Alabama as well. I was going to mention Stabler as well,
but otherwise, not great.
Yeah, Jalen Hurts is like the best one since then, I think.
Maybe. Certainly possible.
And Jalen Hurts has played 6 games in the NFL.
I'm looking at it right now. Let me see.
I mean, he's no A.J. McCarron. People forget A.J. McCarron is an all-time winner in terms of just people who win football games. A.J. McCarron did that.
It's such a dumb, thing that people try to say about players. Like, oh, he's a winner.
Yeah, I've heard
people... Or maybe he just went to Alabama. I don't know.
I've heard people legitimately say that about A.J. McCarron, and it's a running joke with other Zach and I, and has been for years.
Well, yeah, I'm sure that matters to an extent, right? Like, having played on big stages and not wilted under pressure. Like, that, to me, is what I get what they mean by saying he's a winner, but also, you wouldn't be saying he's a winner if he played at Colorado.
Mm-hmm.
You'd be saying he's really good under pressure, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
By saying he's a winner, it means he played for Nick Saban.
Yeah, he played. He played for a team which I believe had Derrick Henry on it. And a ridiculous defense.
Yeah.
And
it's dumb. It's a dumb term. But anyways, I think what's going to be more interesting is what comes out of this from the Cam Newton angle. Obviously, we don't know anything in terms of reports as to reasoning why they cut him. I speculated a little bit in our group chat earlier that I think, at least to me, the easiest thing to point to was the fact that Cam Newton said last year before he signed with the Patriots that he doesn't intend on playing for a team that he can't start with, which is a fair thing to say. Like, I can't begrudge him for saying that.
He's going to look great in a Texans uniform, let me tell you.
Well, that might be where he goes next. I'll tell you.
Yeah.
I mean, you telling me that whoever their head coach is, because nobody cares, is going to bench him for Tyrod Taylor or who's the rookie they drafted? Davis Mills? Yeah.
Yes. Davis Mills. I forgot about him. Yeah.
Yeah. I forgot about that guy.
That guy's got the stuff, let me tell you.
With the positive reports about Mac Jones's leadership and blah 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 blah, which I think is a crock of shit. Anyways, not to say he's a bad leader. That being the deciding factor between the two is ridiculous. And the fact that Mac Jones has played at the very least as well as Cam Newton during the preseason,
I would argue better.
It sowed enough doubt that makes sense for them to kind of just like cut it off.
Yeah.
Right here and move on. Right.
I'm sort of interested in the whole, like, not to be the Debbie Downer here and bring this up, but like the COVID aspect of it. Because, there was that whole thing where Cam had to spend 5 days away from the team, and that's not a penalty unless you're vaccinated or unvaccinated, I believe. So maybe they were hoping to avoid any sort of future problems with that. I know some teams like have been open with considering that, and Cam isn't in the same position as a Kirk Cousins where like they couldn't afford to cut him.
I will say that right after Cam came back, or right before he came back, Bill Belichick said in a press conference that Cam didn't break any team rules.
Yeah, and
whole fiasco thing. So I don't know if that really has much of a role to play in it.
Yeah, I remember seeing that quote from Belichick. It's just one of those things I sort of like. I've been considering it with a lot of these guys. Like, I wouldn't have been shocked at all if the Bills cut Cole Beasley today, like stuff like that, because it's one of those things. You're like with a guy like Cole Beasley, you are risking not having arguably the best slot receiver in football right now for 4 games. Like, that's just the thing you're risking because he doesn't have his shots. Like, so is it really a risk you want to worth taking where, one guy gets it, we know how this thing works by now, more people are going to get it, and it's just going to be a bad idea.
Yeah. I don't know. Did you want to talk about the Javi Baez thing at all?
Like, well,
I find it hilarious. I find the situation very funny.
Yeah, we can talk about it a little bit. We don't have to go in depth.
Basically, Mets fans are mad because the team sucks. And, New York sports fans, generally speaking, are insufferable. So,
yeah,
it kind of makes sense. So, recently, not even recently, because I saw a tweet that said they started doing it like 3-4 weeks ago.
Yeah, no one noticed.
Thumbs down thing, which, first of all, get an original idea. The Yankees did it in 2018. It was a lot more fun then.
Yeah,
we'll put that out there in the ether first.
I agree. That one was much better because that picture is still like used all the time of the old man giving the Yankees the thumbs down.
And that was bred out of fun, not out of contempt for your fan base. Which here's the thing: I don't like booing. Like I don't particularly care for it. I think it's disrespectful. And I think from a lot of fans, it shows a sense of like entitlement over the people that they're paying to watch that I find generally disgusting. So about a lot of like the casual sports fan, the players, and it's not a coincidence that it's predominantly Black and Latino players. They feel as though that because they are patronizing the sport, that the players should perform to their every whim, and if they don't, then that's some sort of slight on them as people, and I just don't like it. So I understand the frustration of Mets players. I get it, right?
Yeah.
Right. And I don't even like hate, but I was pretty ambivalent about like the whole Javi Baez thumbs down thing. Like I didn't care all that much. I don't know about you. I don't know what you thought about it.
My take is I'm fine with excuse me, booing in certain situations. Like when Brett Gardner comes up to the plate at Fenway, yeah, he's gonna get booed because he's Brett Gardner and he plays for the Yankees, and
that sort of thing is built out of like a healthy rivalry.
Yes. So like that I'm fine with. How about this? Don't boo your own players.
Yeah.
Root for your own players' success.
Yeah.
Can you imagine if David Ortiz was in the middle of a slump and he walked up to the plate at Fenway and got booed?
Exactly.
No one would do that.
Now, and again, I understand the difference in situation. Javi Baez has been there for 3 weeks. David Ortiz is a Red Sox legend. I get that.
Even if Kyle Schwarber right now got into a slump, they wouldn't boo him. Like, don't boo your own players. Root for your own players' success. Don't be a scumbag.
Okay. So here's the thing: if I went and saw, if I went to Chicago, for example, There's no chance I'm not booing Aaron Rodgers.
Of course. Yeah, you're going to boo Aaron Rodgers.
I don't want to see the Packers win a football game ever again.
Yeah.
But, like, I'm not going to be the Bears fans that were out there booing Andy Dalton while he was playing in a preseason game.
That's ridiculous as well.
That's insane. I was watching that game, and I heard I was like, booing?
It's going to sound like I'm saying this in jest, but I'm not, because he is. That's your starting quarterback.
Yeah, I don't know.
I get you don't want him to be the starting quarterback. It's still your starting quarterback.
Right. It's not beneficial for anybody for you to boo a guy on the team that you're rooting for. Like, I don't get that. Like, I
don't get it either.
For the team, don't you want the team to succeed? Like,
yeah, exactly.
I mean, are Bears fans, if we're going to go on that example, are Bears fans going to be mad if Andy Dalton starts the whole year and they go 12-5 and make the playoffs? Like, they shouldn't be mad.
Are they going to boo Justin Fields if he comes into a playoff game? Because they want to see Andy Dalton? Like,
you know, like I don't know. I don't say. But I think it's even more funny by the fact that before their game today, Javi Baez like made this like apology thing where it was like,
yeah, so did Lindor. They
were like, we should like be more positive about things, blah blah blah, and then they go out there and Javi Baez wins the game. On this is I really like Jeff Passan's tweet about it because I've often felt this way about Javi Baez, and I think
I saw this, yeah.
It's a little underappreciated about him is like his baseball IQ.
It's off the charts.
Like, Javi Baez scored on a bloop single to left field from first base.
Because he could tell that Jorge Alfaro probably wasn't going to make a good play on it.
Well, yeah, because he's a catcher playing left field.
Which I still don't understand. Why the hell is he playing the outfield?
They need bodies.
The guy's got a fridge on his back. He can't move.
So does Dom Smith, and they play him in left field.
Dom Smith is much more like athletic than Jorge Alfaro.
Well, I won't say much more. Dom Smith is in like the bottom 10 percentile in sprint speed. But
yeah, and he's also Alfaro's in the bottom 1. It's him and Jose Abreu.
Also a terrible defender. We're really picking nits here.
Yeah.
Honestly. But he scored, like I said, on a bloop single to left field from first base. Made a perfect slide, perfect running around the bases. I don't know, man. I find it really funny. You can't write this shit. Like all that shit happens, and then Javi Baez comes out today and wins the game in that fashion.
He also, the underrated part, he drove in a run on an infield single in the 9th inning.
Yeah, he drove in the tying run.
No, the tying run scored on that single. He drove in a run to put the Mets down by 1. They were down by 2. Drives in a run, hustles down the line for an infield single. The guy wouldn't have made the play anyway since he was hustling. Then scores from first on a bloop single to left. Tell me that isn't fun to watch. Tell me that isn't fun baseball.
Really funny given the last 48 hours.
Yeah, it's like to quote the often quoted and often disliked John Sterling, that's baseball, Susan.
Yeah. All right.
It's just baseball.
All right, we're going to move on. We're going to do one trivia question today. I have 2. I'll save the other one for next week.
Okay.
We'll just do the one today so we can get into our content for the day. Zach Wheeler, in his second to last start, had a double-double, meaning he had 10 strikeouts and allowed 10 hits as well. Zach Wheeler is not the first pitcher to do that this season. I want you to tell me who the first pitcher to do that, who the other pitcher is this season to have had a game where he struck out 10 batters and also allowed 10 hits.
If I had to guess, I would say Lance Lynn.
That is incorrect. I'll give you a couple of hints right off the bat.
Okay.
It happened on June 22nd.
Okay.
And the player has since been traded.
Okay. Andrew Heaney?
Correct. Andrew Heaney did it.
That's a very Andrew Heaney thing to do.
On June 22nd. Yes. So Zach Wheeler and Andrew Heaney are the 2 pitchers with a double-double this season.
By the way, those guys is very good.
With his last few starts, I assume Like, if you were whittling it down to finalists, Zach Wheeler's probably fallen out of the NL Cy Young.
Yeah, he's had a rough few
I watched
starts.
yesterday, and I think Joe Girardi might be brain dead or something. Because he just leaves him out there to pitch 8 innings, regardless of if he's allowed 1 hit or 7 runs. Like, I don't get it. Like, I don't.
He gave up 5, didn't he?
Yeah, and he was still out. I was watching it. It's like, it was the same thing with Josiah Gray the other night. I was watching his start. And he allowed 5 runs through 3+ innings, and they were just working him out. He ended up pitching, I don't remember exactly how much he pitched.
I think he threw 5.
But I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. If you had to give me your Cy Young finalists for the National League, who would it be? It'd probably be Walker Buehler, Corbin Burns, Brandon Woodruff, I'd assume.
Yeah, if Gausman puts together another couple good starts. He's been on sort of a iffy stretch as of late. Like, Wheeler's been not great his past few starts, but Gausman's been more like, eh.
Gausman has been somewhere in between for the last 2 months. Has been somewhere in between Zach Wheeler and Yu Darvish. What I mean to say about that is he's been inconsistent. Hasn't been great. His splitter is not really working, which is the strange part about it.
Yeah, that's his best pitch.
But Zach Wheeler has been able to get away with it on occasion. Yu Darvish has an ERA of about 8 since the All-Star break.
Does he really?
Yeah. Yeah, he's been terrible so far.
No wonder they fired Larry Rothschild.
So he's been somewhere in between then. But
yeah, for me right now, it would be Buehler, Burns, and Woodruff. Also deserving to be in the conversation is Freddie Peralta. The Brewers have 3 guys that could legitimately be the Cy Young finalists this year, and that's wild.
You want to hear a fun stat? If the season ended today, Corbin Burns would have the second lowest FIP since 1947.
Yeah, I saw the was it Cespedes Family Barbecue that did the Corbin Burns FIP watch?
Yeah, the only season ever to have a lower FIP than Corbin Burns does have this year is Pedro Martinez in 1999.
The greatest pitching season of all time.
That's insane. It's unbelievable. His FIP this year is 1.64.
If your FIP is like that much lower than your ERA, that's how you know you've just gotten unlucky.
Yeah. Well, it's not even that much lower than his ERA. His ERA is like 2.6. So.
Yeah, but that's like a fairly significant drop off. Usually FIP and ERA should be around the same number.
Your numbers are that good, right?
What?
I said I think it becomes negligible when your numbers are that good.
Yeah.
Like I don't think it has much to do with luck as much as it has to do with he's just pitching really well.
Oh yeah, the guy's pitching phenomenal.
Yeah. What was Pedro's ERA at 99?
I want to say 99. It was like even 2.
And now it's not even showing up on the screenshot that I have. His ERA plus shows up. He had a 2.43 ERA plus that year.
Yeah.
Pedro Martinez. 1999.
207.
207 ERA. Yeah.
And then the next year he had a 174. I always forget that 2000 was actually the better year.
Yeah, well, his FIP in 2000 was 217. So,
Yeah, but his ERA plus was 291.
Yeah. How did that guy not win an MVP, by the way?
No idea.
I don't know.
He was losing to guys in the steroid era.
DFA'd Brad Hand today.
I did. That guy stinks.
Yeah, he stinks. He's stunk pretty bad for like 2 seasons now, and I finally got fed up with him, I guess. I don't know. Traded for him 3 weeks. Traded for him like 3 weeks ago, and they just dumped him.
Yeah, Pedro not winning an MVP is even weirder because the guys that won were steroid guys that Pedro was striking out every single time they faced him.
Who won those 2 years?
99 was Pudge Rodriguez. I remember that much. And then 2000, Pedro finished 5th in 2000. He finished 2nd in 99. Jason Giambi, Frank Thomas, A-Rod, and Carlos Delgado all finished ahead of Pedro in 2000.
Interesting. All right. Yeah, we'll save the other trivia question for next week. It's a good stat. It's about next week's trivia question. At least one of them is about walk rate.
Ooh.
It's about Juan Soto and his walk rate.
Have you seen that screenshot going around from what's that, Baseball Savant, where they do all the the percentiles?
Oh yes, yeah,
And
yeah. The picture
his
of the
walk,
Baseball Savant page.
yeah, his walk rate and chase rate are both in the 100th percentile.
Well, if you've seen the rest of his Baseball Savant page, it's all dark red.
Yeah,
Like
all of it.
he's the best hitter in baseball. I'm sorry, I don't know what to tell, I
No,
don't
he
know what
is.
to tell you, man.
The guy's just phenomenal.
He's 22 years old.
It,
He's
people
our
don't
age. God damn it.
people don't realize that makes me sad. People don't realize that we're basically watching Ted Williams right now. It's basically like watching a modern day Ted Williams.
Let me
And
see if I can pull up his Baseball Savant page right now. I'll show it on the screen here. Yeah, I want the sliders. I don't want numbers here.
he's also got he also leads the majors in walks with 104.
Right. So he is on, basically the trivia question is that he's on pace to have can you see my screen, Mark?
Yes, I can. Yeah,
so
look at that.
That's the Baseball Savant page right there. Yeah, and also, by the way, he's made outs above average is a defensive stat, right?
Yes, it's basically they have catch probability now, and it's I think average is like 70%, or maybe it's just 50%, but it's how many catches he's made of a catch probability higher than the average number.
Gotcha. It's worth noting that it seems like he's made a fine leap defensively too.
Yeah, he's been really good defensively this year.
So, no, this is Juan Soto's baseball page. It's littered with red.
Just so much red.
Look at that.
Look at the spray chart too.
Yeah. So good.
That many home runs for a left-handed hitter to left field is hysterical.
So the stat basically is that he's on pace to have a season with a 20% walk rate, which he also had last year, to be fair. And there are 8 other people to do that in the 21st century.
Okay.
That's the question, but don't answer it now.
No, I'll wait till next week.
Pontificate on that. Did you know, by the way, obviously we know that one of them is Barry Bonds. He did it many times.
Of course
I just wrote many times instead of writing down the year next to it. This is like 4 or 5 times that he had that. New in 2004, I think it was, he had a 6% strikeout rate.
2004 Barry Bonds might be the greatest baseball reference line of all time.
It was he had like a 34% walk rate or something like that. And a 6% strikeout rate that season.
You know what his on base percentage was in 2004?
It was 609.
Slugging percentage 812, 263 OPS plus. He had 45 home runs in only 373 plate appearances because he was walked 232 times, 120 of them intentionally.
So that season in 2004, he had a 6.7 strikeout rate.
Mm-hmm.
And his walk rate was 37.6.
Is it good when your walk rate is 30% higher than your strikeout rate?
Unbelievable. Anyways, that's beside the point, right? We'll circle back to this when he inevitably doesn't get inducted into the Hall of Fame next year.
Yeah.
But for right now, the rest of this episode, we're going to talk about the NFC.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to go division by division, talk about some big storylines. I mean, we have more of a clear picture now because today was Final Cut Day. We're officially 9 days away from the start of the NFL season, which is exciting. Yeah, so let's get started with the NFC South.
Okay.
I think the South is one of the 2 divisions that have more clarity to me in the NFC, mostly because we can kind of just assume that the Bucs are going to win the division again.
Yep.
They made, a lot of teams do like let's run it back. You know, we're going all in on this year. Fuck the future, right? A lot of teams do that. The Lakers are doing it right now. But the Bucks did it to like the nth degree because they returned every starter.
Yeah.
The Bucks returned all 22 starters from their.
I just want to say something real quick. I clicked on the Bucks CBS Sports page, and CBS Sports asked me, "Are you a Seahawks fan?"
Interesting.
Yes.
Maybe. But yeah, the Bucks returned all 22 starters with the knowledge that Tom Brady was playing on a torn MCL last year. I don't know. I don't know what could be bad for this team. Like their offensive line depth isn't very good, admittedly. And their cornerbacks are still kind of young. Their depth in the secondary isn't very good. Depth is really what's going to hurt the team. Like injuries, it's going to take like a few injuries in key places to key players to maybe derail the team. You know, obviously, if you make a move to sell out on a roster this much the year after you win a Super Bowl to try and run it back, you're going to lose some rotational pieces. It happens, right? As I said before on the show, I think predicting injuries is stupid, and I think blaming things on injuries is also kind of stupid because every team deals with injuries, and as I've mentioned before, there's a certain amount of luck that goes into winning any sports championship.
Absolutely.
We saw last year with the Lakers like falling apart after Anthony Davis got hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah, they had basically the same roster as the year they won the championship. But if you build a roster that's that top heavy, it's not based in like, rotational depth, you know, every man same. If you build a roster like that's not like that, yeah, injuries are going to derail it. You know, like that happens.
And
that's how sports work.
And their average age this year is 38 and a half. So yes. We'll see it's a bold strategy, Cotton. We'll see if it pays off.
The Lakers, that is, you're talking about.
Yeah, the Lakers.
Yeah.
So, the Bucks, I don't know if they're much younger.
They're I mean,
Brady brings that up about 9 years. So
yeah. So I don't know. I mean, the Bucks will be good. The Bucks should be favored to win in the NFC again this year. Like that's
yes, the Bucks are very good. I am the only thing I am somewhat worried about is the secondary, just because, like you said, they are young and somewhat inexperienced, and I don't know if teams will be more used to that this year. But outside of that, I think this is as solid of a team as there is in football.
Of course, and I like what Todd Bowles has done as a defensive coach enough to think that.
Yes,
I don't know as if it will matter. The more interesting part is the rest of this division. I think, especially now that we know that Jameis Winston's going to be starting for the Saints. That's kind of what I was holding out on doing this podcast for.
Yeah,
was until the Saints quarterback battle got figured out. Because as much as I can bitch and moan into a microphone about how I think Taysom Hill isn't good and they're wasting their money on him, like up until a few days ago, there was still the chance that Sean Payton was just going to be like, yeah, but he's our guy.
Yeah.
You know, and sit the guy that threw 5,000 yards 2 years ago. That's what we do around here. But because of their last preseason game and the first half that Jameis had against the Jaguars, I think he made that kind of difficult. And I think the team, the biggest concern for me with the Saints is the weapons on the offense not named Alvin Kamara.
That's where I was going.
Given Michael Thomas is on the PUP list, so he's the earliest he can return is week 7, right out of their bye. Now, I'll say Marquez Callaway seems to be a very good player, just generally speaking, from what I've been watching.
Yeah,
of him, and he's been the talk of preseason, blah 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 blah, that whole stuff. So you should be able to hold down the fort at least for a little bit. But outside of that, Traquan Smith is hurt. Adam Troutman is hurt. They got their second best receiver right now might be Lil Jordan Humphrey. Like that's really where it's gonna come down to. I mean, they re-signed the hell is their middle linebacker that I can't remember. Give me 1 second. Loosely, I think defensively they should be fine.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, I don't know. I think they should be fine. It's Demario Davis is who they re-signed.
Oh, yeah.
Quan Alexander. What I've really liked is they're going to need some sort of a pass rush outside of Cam Jordan, especially now that he's getting a little older. He's like 32 or 33 now, sneakily. Marcus Davenport, who they moved up to draft like 12th overall like 3 years ago. I remember that.
Yeah.
San Antonio has looked fantastic this preseason. So I have faith that their defense will be as good as it has been the last few years. And I think they're a team that could get into a wild card spot.
Yeah, I do as well.
I basically. The Falcons are boring. They're going to be the same team they were last year.
I'm so excited to bet the Falcons each of the first 4 weeks only for them to lose all 4. I'm so excited.
Yeah, I mean, they're basically like the same team they were last year.
They're exactly the same team, except they don't have their best receiver. So
yeah, but Kyle Pitts is really good. So
as good as Kyle Pitts is, I'm not one to jump in on rookie tight ends immediately.
Well, good thing he's not a tight end, really.
Yeah, I know he's
Johnson, who happens to line up next to the offensive line. I don't
know. So I think that there's a good chance Pitts is really good this year, and they won't miss Julio all that much at all.
They're gonna have to be if they don't want their offense to suck.
Yeah. Calvin Ridley is obviously still very good. I'm still in on Matt Ryan. I don't think Matt Ryan is bad. I think he has bad coaching. And so the Falcons are going to be a team that, they'll score 30, but they'll give up 40. So it doesn't matter. That defense is still terrible.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I'm going to be in on the Falcons the first few weeks because I always am, because there's something about Matty Ice that I can't get out of my head.
Well, they play the Eagles week 1, so yeah.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Oh, that's gross. What a gross matchup.
And then the Panthers, to me, are basically the Falcons reversed. I like their defense quite a bit, actually.
Yeah, I think their defense is going to be solid.
But flip over to the other side of the ball. Call me a resident member of the Sam Darnold hive. Have been for years. I'll never break away from it. But their offensive line sucks.
Yeah.
Sucks bad. Sucks Jaguars bad. Sucks not quite as bad as the Giants, but still sucks bad. So that's great. You have all these good weapons. Terrace Marshall is good. Obviously, Sam Darnold has a previous rapport with Robbie Anderson. You got DJ Moore and blah, 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 and all that. Christian McCaffrey.
That guy's good.
That guy is pretty good from what I understand.
That guy is rather good at football.
Yeah. So, I don't know. But Sam Darnold's not going to have more than half a second to throw. It's not going to mean much of anything. I don't know. I haven't done an updated playoff predictor recently, so I don't have record predictions in front of me. But if I had to rank these teams, it would be Tampa Bay, New Orleans. Yeah, I'll still take Atlanta 3rd, Carolina 4th. I think they'll be similar in terms of record, so I don't. Yeah.
That's the same way I would go, and I am very much not a member of the Sam Darnold hive. I think he stinks. So
I don't. So
I actually think
at the very least, I think we don't know whether or not he stinks.
That's fair enough.
Currently. Because he got Adam Gase.
Yeah, I think that's a fair take, and I won't be too surprised if Sam Darnold does end up being good, because that's just how bad Adam Gase is as a person and head coach.
You had to throw in as a person.
I did, because he likes to ruin people's careers. And so I wouldn't be too surprised if he did end up being solid, but you're right, that offensive line is just made up of traffic cones. So I I don't think this is the right situation for Darnold to be in either. To be quite honest with you. But I think if they had like even a okay offensive line and Darnold, I think they would be a decent team. It's just I do like their weapons. Like obviously McCaffrey is insane, and I like DJ Moore. I like Robbie Anderson a lot. I don't know what it is. I just really like Robbie Anderson. And so I think there's some intrigue there, but I think it's very, like you said, very similar to the Falcons, where the Falcons have weapons too, but they're going to be bad. Yeah. And the Falcons have a better quarterback. So
yeah. All right, we'll move on to what I think is actually the easiest division to talk about. It's the NFC North. To me, the North shakes out pretty quickly. The biggest question is, when does Justin Fields start?
Yeah.
And I don't know the answer to that question. I hope it's sooner rather than later. But otherwise, I don't think any team in the division other than the Packers is fit to be more than like a 500 team this year. Like, I can easily see the Bears being the second team in the division and going like 8-9.
Yeah.
Or 9-8 or something like that. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I thought for like half a second, I was like, oh, Minnesota's going to turn their defense around. Like, Mike Zimmer can't. Mike Zimmer is openly disgusted with his team as it sits at the moment. Because like he's supposed to be this defense first guy, and the defense sucks the horn. Well, hate to break it to you, Mike, but I've seen him so far in the preseason. They still suck. So I don't have much faith in Minnesota being able to stop people from scoring. And the Lions are roster-wise a tire fire. They're not.
Oh yeah.
They're not a tire fire in the way that like the Texans are. Just total organizationally. But the roster still sucks. Specifically, their defense is poo-poo garbage. Their offensive line is actually not bad. But we'll see. So I think the division breaks out. Also, another note, by the way, about the Green Bay defense.
Mm-hmm.
They should be a lot better than they were.
Oh, yeah. I was going to bring that up.
Not because they added a bunch of people. Was Mike Patton their defensive coordinator last year?
Geez.
Yes, it was.
Okay.
Because they have a similar roster to the defense they had last year. And you look at it and you're like, oh, that's a lot of talent. A bunch of players. You got the Smiths, Adrian Amos, Jair Alexander is one of the handful of best corners in the NFL. Mike Daniels is still on the team. Like, you look at the defense, and at all levels, there are players that you think are really good. And Mike Patton sucks as a defensive coordinator. And I think we talked about that quite a bit, especially in the playoffs last year.
Yeah, we did.
We talked about that. So having him not in the building should provide a boost to the Packers defense that I think makes them an even bigger threat.
Who's their DC this year?
I don't know. Some guy. Joe Barry.
Rick Barry's son. Yes, of course.
I don't believe he's Rick Barry's son.
Also shoots. He was a quarterback. He threw the ball underhanded. It was really something.
Okay. Yeah, he was a part of the Rams coaching staff the last 4 years.
Oh, so you got a defensive coach that coached Aaron Donald. Cool.
Yep. So that's good.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah,
Packers, Bears, Vikings, Lions. That's how it breaks out. Packers are the only one to make the playoffs. I think we can move on. I don't know about you.
I'm more in on the Vikings than you are. Just because I think that offense is really good.
Okay.
I listen. I never thought I would be the guy coming on here and saying he liked what he saw out of Kirk Cousins last year, but I liked what I saw out of Kirk Cousins last year.
All right. You know how many times I have to say, "Oh, Kirk Cousins isn't that bad," and then he goes out there and he fucks it up. Okay, I'm not falling for this again.
I'm falling for it.
2 notes for Kirk Cousins: stop sucking and get vaccinated.
Yes,
all right.
I will. I will give him that second note as well. But like Dalvin Cook, Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen. Like there's some names on this team, and I don't know if their defense is going to be as bad. I think it's not going to be great. I don't know if it's going to be as bad as it was last year. So I've got them second in this division. Not by much. I think they're going to be like them 9-8, Bears 8-9. Like I think it's going to be close, and I think the Lions win 3 games.
If they're lucky, they win 3 games.
Yeah.
This year.
I don't hate Jared Goff. So
who's Jared Goff throwing it to? TJ Hawkinson's going to catch 150 passes?
You never know.
Can you name... Wait, don't look up the roster. Look me in the eyes. Can you name me another Detroit wide receiver? Or a Detroit wide receiver?
Oh, no, never mind. Kenny Galladay went to the Giants.
Nope.
All the guys I'm thinking of are now gone. Because I was like, oh, Golden Tate. Nope, he's gone.
Oh.
No, I got no one else.
You know who their top 3 receivers are?
No.
Tyrell Williams.
That's a name I've heard.
Amon-Ra St. Brown. He was like a 5th-round draft pick this year. He's a rookie.
Yeah, I remember seeing that name because I thought the name was funny.
And Olamides Zacchaeus.
That's a big man from Lithuania in the 2022 NBA draft.
Yeah, those are Detroit's wide receivers. So, Jared Goff might not suck as bad as he did last year, like as a player in total.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, not Olamides Zacchaeus. It's Quintez Cephas. My bad.
That's the cousin of a Lithuanian big man getting drafted in the NBA next year.
I believe Olamides Zacchaeus plays for the Falcons. I'm sorry. But yeah, no, they should suck this year. Moving on. Do you? I assume you don't think the Vikings make the playoffs?
No, I don't.
I don't think the second team from this division makes the playoffs anyways. NFC West, probably the most interesting division because it's got 4 teams. Could finish in almost any order, I'll say.
Mm-hmm.
I won't say in any order because I don't see a conceivable world where the Rams finish in last or something like that.
Yeah.
But, I mean, we all know the storylines, right? Rams get Matt Stafford. Should be a better team. I have them winning the division. Not by a lot.
I do as well.
But, it should be wide open. The Seattle defense might not be as good as it was last year, and that's not great because they weren't even really that good last year.
No, they weren't. They were not very good last year.
But we got a new offensive coordinator. Might let Russ cook a little bit more, which is another thing I won't fall for until we see it. We've been doing this whole Russ is going to throw it more this year for the last 4 years now.
It lasts 4 weeks. It's the Ryan Fitzpatrick thing. First 4 weeks of the season, it's like, oh, look at Russ, and then he just starts handing it off. I don't fall for it.
We'll see what happens, right? In that sense, the Niners should be good. I don't know as if they are playoff caliber. I think it's going to depend on their quarterback situation. I don't think Jimmy Garoppolo is terrible. I think he's pretty average. But if Jimmy Garoppolo gets hurt like he does in week 2 every year, and Trey Lance comes in and is good, I think maybe they could squeak into a wild card berth. I mean, they were in the Super Bowl like 2 years ago, so And then the Cardinals, I have a feeling that Cliff Kingsbury is getting fired after this season.
Ooh.
If they don't stop being average on offense, that man's getting fired. That's my feeling on this because all talent on the freaking planet, or at least receiving talent. You have Kyler Murray, who's a human joystick, and somehow they can't help but be the most bland, vanilla, average, middle of the road offense out there. I don't know how much you want to blame it.
It's annoying.
Kyler Murray's hip injury from last year. But that's what he was known for coaching Pat Mahomes is what he was known for, really.
Mm-hmm.
And let's just say the 4 wide receiver, the whole air raid thing, either it's not working or he's not doing it. Like one of those two things is happening right now. And the Cardinals run more 4 wide receiver sets than any other team in the NFL by a wide margin. So I'm going to err on the side of it's not working.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I feel like my division predictions, by the way, I have the Rams first, the Seahawks second, the Niners third, and the Cardinals fourth. Could easily see that flipping around a little bit. I've chosen not to doubt the Seahawks now because every time I say they're going to be like average or like they don't look very good,
they win 12 games.
They win 12 games just like they do every freaking year. Mm-hmm. So I've chosen not to say that about them this season. I think the Seahawks make it as a wild card team, and I'll leave it at the Seahawks making it as a wild card team.
I just want to say I was just looking over the roster. I think the 49ers are going to finish last because Nate Sudfeld is on that roster, and Nate Sudfeld stinks, and he makes every team he's on worse.
Certainly a take, yeah.
And I'm going to say the Cardinals do better than them because they have Kyle Pitts' linebacker cousin, Kylie Fitz.
Okay.
So I'm gonna say the 49ers finish last because they have Nate Sudfeld. And to be quite honest, I wasn't sold on the 49ers when they went to the Super Bowl. I wasn't sold on the 49ers last year. I'm not sold on the 49ers this year. Like, I just don't really love anything about that team. The defense is good. I'll give them that. I don't love anything about that offense at all.
Defense is good, but their defensive coordinator is gone.
Yeah. But that offense does not excite me in the least. Whereas Arizona, I'm hoping their defense will be a little better.
Is it worth something that the Niners have the best tight end in the NFL? Or
yeah, George Kittle's great. I don't like Jimmy Garoppolo, and I don't like the idea of throwing Trey Lance out there quite yet. I'm
glad you didn't crucify me for that take, by the way.
What?
I don't think it should be controversial to say that George Kittle's the best tight end in the NFL.
I personally believe it's Kelsey, but I don't argue with anyone that says it's Kittle because I think they're 1A, 1B.
I think what sets Kittle apart, by the way, even though Travis Kelsey is a better receiver, I think Kittle does the tight end things better. Like,
yeah,
he's the best blocking tight end in the NFL.
Yeah, I have no problem with that take.
Okay.
I have no problem with that take at all. I slightly disagree because I just like Kelsey better. But yeah, it's great if you have a all-pro tight end, but if you don't have anyone that I think at this point is really worth throwing to him, it doesn't excite me. Also, the whole Brandon Ayuk thing, I thought he was a great story last year. I don't know if he's actually good. Like, I feel like there's a lot of questions on that offense more than answers. And like I said, I think the Cardinals defense will probably be a little better this year. And it's hard for me to not see a team that has Kyler Murray, DeAndre Hopkins. They have AJ Green now, who I know is always hurt, but when he's healthy is so good.
Except he was terrible last year when he was healthy. So I think he might just be washed now. That's beside the point.
It's still, he's one of those guys where I'm just like, I see AJ Green and I'm like, that guy's good. JJ Watt, like, it's hard for me to look at that roster.
Receiver than AJ Green. Rondell Moore is there, my guy.
Oh, I forgot about Rondell Moore as well.
I've been talking about for 3 years now. If Austin ever comes back, we'll talk to him about this. Because Austin will remember that I was telling him about Rondell Moore his freshman year at Purdue. Watch the Ohio State game where he put up like 300 total yards.
Yeah.
It's great. Anyways.
Yeah, I forgot about him. So yeah, it's just, I still see him finishing third, but I really wouldn't be surprised if both them and Seattle were wild card teams. That wouldn't surprise me at all if we saw 3 postseason berths out of the West.
Yeah, that's fair. All right. Final division. Everyone's favorite division. The NFC East.
Boo!
The NFC East, to me, is the tale of two halves. I think there's two good teams. I think there's two bad teams.
All right.
Do you not have that take, or do you have a similar take? What's your take?
I think there's 4 mediocre teams.
Okay. See, I do not agree with that. I'm having trouble trying to decide who I'd pick to win the division.
Mm-hmm.
I still haven't come to that decision, so we'll start with the bad teams.
I'm going to go out on a limb and guess that my favorite football team is on this short list.
Of the bad teams?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
I believe that. I have a hard time calling the Eagles bad, to be 100% honest with you. There's certainly a situation where they are bad. If Jalen Hurts sucks, the team's going to suck. Like, that's really what it's going to hinge on, because I think their offensive line's good. Their front seven, as always, should be fine.
Yep.
Their secondary, as always, is going to suck. I mean, the
Eagles haven't had a good secondary since Brian Dawkins.
So they got enough offensive weapons that I like. Devontae Smith is incredible. It's going to come down to Jalen Hurts. I think he's fine, generally speaking. So I don't know. I
think he's good.
I can't tell you I can't tell you that I think the Eagles are a bad team, because I don't necessarily think that. I think they're a very meh kind of team. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Everything that I've seen tells me the Giants are going to win 4 games this year. Like, first of all, none of their receivers can stay healthy. Evan Ingram has butterfingers. Their offensive line might just be the worst in football. Daniel Jones is still boo-boo. Like, we heard all this stuff about, like, oh, Daniel Jones this is going to be making the leap this year, right? But this is the time. They invested all this money in making sure Daniel Jones is good. They didn't really. They invested money in Kenny Golladay. What they should have invested money in are people that aren't Swiss cheese to try and block more. Their defense should be good. Specifically, their run defense should be really good. Even better than last year, probably. But I have a hard time seeing this as anything other than like a bottom 5 offense in football, even with like the talented players that they have on the roster. Like, again, we heard all this stuff about Daniel Jones like making the leap this year, and then every single thing, whether it be report, a video, practice thing, preseason game, all of that points to that, like, unequivocally not being the case. So I can't see a situation in which they're an even average football team. I can't. I really can't. I don't know. What about you? What do you think about the Giants, Mark?
Yeah, I agree. I think the Giants are not going to be good. I work with a diehard Giants fan every day. In the man-child, just diehard Giants fan, and he keeps trying to like say all these reasons. Holger Rune is the guy that Novak is playing. Ah, jeez.
He has one. By the way, they showed it before the match started. He has one career win over a top 50 opponent.
That's what you like to see. Can you imagine if you're this guy and you're waiting for like the matchups to come out for round 1 of the U.S. Open, and you just see you have Novak Djokovic when Dominic Thiem, Rafael Nadal, and Roger Federer all withdrew. You're like, I got a shot to make it past the first round, and then you just see Novak Djokovic on the other side. Son of a bitch! Like,
his power ranking is 99.
I just saw that.
Yeah, his ATP ranking is 145. Whereas Novak Djokovic is ranked number 1 in the world.
Yes. Like we said, going for a calendar slam. Yeah. So I don't think.
I mean, this poor Danish man was probably playing in qualifying like 4 days ago.
Yeah.
And now he's got to play the best tennis player on the planet.
Yeah. Yeah, Giants are going to be bad despite the man-child's best efforts to try to convince me that they're going to be good. I am not listening to them.
I think what's fun about football is, with the exception of the Texans, like, I think you can squint at just about any team and be like,
maybe,
yeah, like,
yeah,
maybe.
not
and
the
Giants are certainly a team that you could look at and be like, maybe. I don't see it though. I mean, it's a big maybe. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, this man just got a point. Well, not a point, but you call that.
Yeah, it's a point.
You call it a point?
Yeah.
Because I thought if you win a game, that's also a point. Right?
You're right. What the hell is it? A score? A 15?
I don't know. This is where I wish we had Josh.
Yeah, Josh would tell us.
Josh would tell us what the hell is going on. But we can talk about the two teams that I think are going to be good in the NFC East. And one of them is Dallas. I don't think the defense is going to be good. Let me preface this by saying
it's going to be bad.
That it was really bad last year. It might be like, you see my fingers here, Mark? It might be this much better this year.
Yeah.
They might get out of like the bottom 7 or something. They might break into the top 70. They might be like 30th percentile in the NFL.
Yeah.
This year, or something like that. Just by extension, the fact that I think that Micah Parsons is better than Jalen Smith. And that's really where it ends, right?
Mm-hmm.
However, I think there's no reason to believe that they won't have a top 5 offense in the NFL this year. And if you can luck into a stretch where your defense is average, the Chiefs have shown us that you can take that a long, long way.
Oh, yeah.
They won a Super Bowl on it 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
All their defense had to be was okay. And
they were.
The rest of it can work itself out. And I think the Cowboys have the shot to be that kind of a team this year. And that shot, me not being able to say that definitively, is why I'm having a tough time picking my division winner.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I had confidence that the Cowboys had an average defense, I would be picking them to win the division.
Yeah.
But I think on the other side of the division, the Washington football team, in my opinion, has a top 5 defense in football. I would argue the best front 7 in football. And on the other side, their offensive line is a question.
Mm-hmm.
Their secondary weapons are kind of a question, depending on Curtis Samuel's health. I think if he gets healthy, that would be good for him. But I think Terry McLaurin is a superstar.
I agree.
Like, the production that he's had, I'll pull up his stats real quick, because I find myself on this show not pulling up enough numbers and just saying things and not backing them up. So,
he had 87 receptions for 1,118 yards and 4 touchdowns last year.
Right, and his quarterbacks were a combination of Dwayne Haskins, Kyle Allen, and Taylor Heineke.
Yeah.
So, yeah. The dude is an absolute stud, and I'm very excited to see what he can do with Ryan Tannehill, with Ryan Fitzpatrick. I like Antonio Gibson still. I think it's interesting that he had as good of a season as he had last year, and he's been very open about the fact that like he's still figuring out things about how to play running back. Because remember, he was a wide receiver in college.
Yep.
You know what's funny? He played running back like in high school and started in college as running back, and then went over to wide receiver, and then now plays running back in the NFL. So I mean, I don't know as if he'll necessarily have the efficiency or the touchdown numbers that he did last year. He scored like 11 touchdowns last year, which is crazy. But I think he can kind of work on that really on the fly. And if he was as good as he was last year, like I said, like self-admittedly saying, like, I didn't know, he's still one of those guys where he said it himself, where he's like still thinking too much. You know, because a lot of running backs, like, they hit holes instinctually. Like, that's a lot of the running back position is like instinctual. If you think for more than half a second about something, you're getting tackled. So
yeah, you're screwed.
I think it's really cool to watch him work through that in real time. But this is the reason I'm having a hard time picking my division winner. Ryan Fitzpatrick is fun. And I think the last 2 years in Miami have shown us like the highs he's capable of.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't. I think some people are thinking it like negates the last decade plus of his career,
which has been very mediocre.
Right, like Ryan Fitzpatrick. Give me 1 second. Ryan Fitzpatrick has been in the league since 2005. Like we know who Ryan Fitzpatrick is. He's never. He started 16 games 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
He's been benched for lesser quarterbacks countless times. He's career 59 and 86 as a starter. You know, like he has a career 60% completion percentage. Fine. Like, look, the Ryan Fitzpatrick experience is a lot of fun.
I love it.
It really is. And when he's clicking, I think he's a good quarterback. Not great. I don't think he's one of those guys that, like, you know, rising tide lifts all ships. I don't think he's quite one of those guys.
Mm-hmm.
Again, like, I don't think it should be controversial to say that. He's been in the league for 16 years now. Like,
yeah.
Like we have a good picture as to what Ryan Fitzpatrick is as a football player. So just like Dallas's defense, we're going to get inconsistent play at some point from Ryan Fitzpatrick. And even then, I mean, when he had this great year in Miami 2 years ago, he went 5-8.
Mm-hmm.
Part of that was the rest of the team around him.
Which wasn't great.
Which was bad. It was really bad, actually.
Yes.
And like I remember we talked about it on this show. Like I said, Brian Flores should have gotten Coach of the Year nominations for the team just winning 6 games in total.
Yeah.
They were 10. They should have been worse. I believe that was the year that I picked the Dolphins to go 0-16. Which, by the way, I've done that each of the last like 3 years now. Picked a team to go 0-16.
Never happens.
No, I was the Dolphins 2 years ago. It was the Jets last year, and the Rams fucked it up. Remember that Rams game?
I do remember that Rams game.
The Rams just shit the bed against the Jets for no reason. Remember that game? This year,
even Aaron Donald was like, this team's giving me fits.
Right. It was insane. This year it's going to be the Texans. Like I can already see me picking them to win no games this year.
I already have.
So I think if you force me to make a final decision on the division, I will say that I will have Dallas winning it. I'll have Washington second, obviously, because like I said, I think the division is 2 tiers, and I'll have Washington be a wild card team. Because obviously they made the playoffs last year.
Yep.
I don't see why they can't wait to make the playoffs this year. You know, they had Kyle Allen as their quarterback for the majority of last season. And then I'll have the Eagles third and the Eagles third, gap, Giants last.
Yeah.
That's how I think about the division. I know I just rambled for like 20 minutes. Mark, you tell me what you think about the division.
I've got Washington first, Dallas second. Just because I'm very not convinced that defense is even going to be average at any point. Like I'm rather convinced that the Cowboys defense is just going to be bad.
I did say that I think they should still win the division even with a defense that's in like the 30th percentile, like I said. Yeah. I'm just saying, like, if they somehow stumble into average play.
Yeah, which I don't know if they will, is my only thing.
It's a fair assumption to make.
So, and I agree with you. We know what Ryan Fitzpatrick is. I think they might luck into 6 wins just because Fitzpatrick has a good game. And then the rest will be on their defense. Like, I think that's a very real possibility because their defense is, like you said, lights out. I mean, even just between Chase Young and the other pass rusher.
Jonathan Allen.
Yes, but he's not who I was thinking of.
Daron Payne.
No.
What? If you're thinking of Ryan Kerrigan, he doesn't play for the team anymore.
No, that's not who I'm thinking of. God damn it.
Montez Sweat.
Montez Sweat, yes. He's a linebacker, but he had 9 sacks last year.
He's an edge rusher.
Yeah. Montez Sweat, yeah. With those two guys, I really like Logan Thomas. I think Logan Thomas is a really solid tight end.
College quarterback Logan Thomas.
Yeah.
I call him that every single time I hear his name.
Yeah, I think he's a really solid tight end. Like, I agree with you. Terry McLaurin is going to be a star in this league. I think that guy's so good.
I think he already is, to be honest with you.
I think it's a little like
they signed Adam Humphries.
Didn't know that.
I'm looking at their depth chart right now.
But yeah, I just think Washington takes this division. I think Dallas does get a wild card. I think the Eagles can win anywhere between 3 and 8 games, and I have no idea which one it's going to be. And that terrifies me and also excites me a little bit, because if they do win 8 games, I'll be like, wow, what a year by the Eagles. And if they win 3 games, I'll be like, yeah, we sort of saw this coming. And hopefully Doug Peterson will get fired, despite the fact I don't think he will, because he won a Super Bowl in 2017. What?
He already got fired. He's not the coach anymore.
Sirianni. I think Sirianni might get fired after 1 year. I don't think they have all that much faith in him. I don't know why I said Doug Peterson. Sirianni.
Not only did you say Doug Peterson, but you extrapolated on the Doug Peterson point. Only because you won a Super Bowl in 2017.
Yeah. Which I don't know why I was thinking Doug Peterson was still the coach. Obviously, it's Nick Sirianni. But I don't know. I really know nothing about this team, which I know the roster and stuff, but I know nothing about how any of them are going to perform. I don't know if Fletcher Cox is going to be able to stay healthy for 3 weeks. There's so many question marks on the team. I hope that if Jalen Hurts is good and Devontae Smith is good, then I'm fine. I'll just be like, all right, this year has been fine because I got to watch Jalen Hurts throw to Devontae Smith. And the Giants are going to be bad. So yeah, I'm Washington, Dallas, Philadelphia, and New York, so I've got 2 wild cards coming out of the West and 1 coming out of the East.
Oh, right. You didn't have the Saints being a wild card team.
I did not. Okay. As much as I want them to be, because I want Jameis in the playoffs, without Michael Thomas, I really don't trust that receiving core.
Right, but Michael Thomas might come back by the end of October.
Yeah, but it's same thing. That's 7 weeks he's gonna miss.
6
that
weeks.
Or 6. I thought it was 7. I thought the minimum was 7.
Minimum of 6 weeks, which puts him on track to come back for week 7.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So 6 weeks he's gonna miss. 11 games left. I don't know.
Their bye week is week 6.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe that won't have as big of an impact as I was thinking, because I thought he was gonna miss 7 games. But still, I think they're going to be hurting for offense without him. Despite having Winston and Kamara, who's the kid who became a star in the preseason?
Marquez Callaway.
Yeah, Callaway.
He's good.
Yeah, maybe he is just good. Maybe it's preseason football. That's all it is to me. So.
All right. Well, while we wrap up here, we'll go by just recount our division winners and our playoff teams here. So I have my division winners being Tampa Bay, Green Bay, Los Angeles, Dallas.
Mm-hmm.
And then my 3 wild card teams being Seattle, Washington, New Orleans.
And I had the winners Washington, Green Bay, Tampa Bay, and Los Angeles. And I had the Cardinals, Seahawks, and Cowboys as wild cards.
All right. That about does it for our NFL season preview. That was the NFC preview. Like I said, next week we'll be doing some sort of football coverage. Haven't quite figured it out yet. But it is what it is. So Excuse me. Before we head out, make sure to follow us on Twitter at Hot Stove Pod. That's at Hot Stove Pod on Twitter. Excuse me again. Here on YouTube, make sure to subscribe, like the video, hit the notification bell, leave a comment. All the good jazz. I say it every week. You know what I'm talking about. For Mark, I'm Zach. We will see you next time here on the Hot Stove Podcast.
Peace.